Hello and welcome to News Tonight. My name is Rhoda Ngonzi, on sign language Mugalu Mohammed.
And I'm Patricia Lokoma. I'll be joining you on the business desk.
And let's take a look at the headlines. Prime Minister of Uganda, Professor Apollo Nsibambi, is dead. Prime Minister Ruhakana Rugunda says modernizing agriculture requires a holistic approach in investment. On the international scene, French IS men sentenced to death in Iraq. And in sports, beach woodball World Cup starts. We start on a sad note. Government has issued a statement following the death of former Uganda Prime Minister Professor Apollo Nsibambi. Government spokesperson Ofono Pondo also issued guidelines for burial arrangements at the media center. He told the media that government will work closely with the family members. Let's take a look.
On behalf of the government of Uganda and the President of the Republic of Uganda, the government this evening has learned with deep sorrow and hereby regrets to announce the passing on of Professor Robins Apollo Nsibambi, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda for 12 years. Prior to becoming Prime Minister, Professor Nsibambi served in various capacities in government as Minister of Public Service and as Minister of Education and Sports. He had earlier on joined the government as Constituent Assembly delegate nominated by the President to debate and promulgate the 1995 Constitution. Prior to that, Professor Nsibambi served the government as lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor, professor and dean in the Faculty of Political Science, where he mentored many people, including myself and many people in government today. Professor Nsibambi is most remembered as a distinguished servant, timekeeper, neat and disciplinarian. The Prime Minister of Uganda today, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, has asked me to say that Professor Nsibambi brought total discipline into cabinet and the executive of the Republic of Uganda when he served as Minister and Prime Minister. He will be remembered as a distinguished patriot and public servant. Professor Nsibambi, prior to joining mainstream government, also served as the Minister for Constitutional and Political Affairs in the Kingdom of Buganda. In that capacity, he was also the lead negotiator between Mengo and the central government on the return of Ebiafi, which negotiation he did extremely well, meticulously, and brought the government and the people at Mengo to an amicable resolution of the issues that had been outstanding since 1966.
Now, the family of the former Prime Minister confirms the Ugandan academician and politician had died at home at the age of 78. Professor Apollo Nsibambi was appointed Premier by President Museveni on 5th April 1999 until 24th May 2011. Meanwhile, politicians and government officials continue to flock his residence at Bulange Mengo in Kampala. His body has been taken to Mulago Hospital for post-mortem. Professor Apollo Nsibambi was born on 25th October 1940.
Residing with him as a fellow resident who have been going to the same church. He has been an Anglican, like many of the people like myself. It is sad news to us. We are only happy that he has gone to meet his Lord.
I'm a neighbor to him, so I was invited by his wife hurriedly, but unfortunately he had already passed on. He survived with a wife, who is a widow now, and 5 children. Some of them are not here, so that may delay a bit the program for the burial. But we thank him that he has been a good citizen in the village here, because he participated in all activities of the village, either meetings or anything, but also in the activities of the church, the local church here, Bulange, and then St. Paul's Cathedral, Namirembe.
I really want to convey my own personal condolences to the family, and to tell everybody that the news government is aware by now, because of our much improved modern communication technology. It's all over the fora, even the forum of cabinet and the parliament. And so we shall always remember Professor Nsibambi as a man who has lived a full life, I would say. He used a full life. He had a lot of wit, a lot of charm, apart from the intelligence and the knowledge that made him a professor. He was a highly accomplished person in all spheres of life. And so the world will miss him, our village will miss him, the church will miss him, the academia will miss him, the politicians will miss him. He was a very, very loud.
And he used to say, please don't bring the work that will take away my mind, or put me into a state of soul. And he used the word lugubrious. But the word lugubrious became more common and popular when he went to parliament. But we have lost him. It is the same journey we are also taking. We hope that God should rest him in eternal peace.
May his soul rest in peace. President Yoweri Museveni has held a meeting with the visiting United States of America Special Envoy for the Great Lakes region in Africa, Van Peter, and delegation called on him at State House in Entebbe. The president and his guests discussed matters relating to security, trade, political and economic integration in the Great Lakes region. President Museveni urged the United States of America to invest in infrastructural development in Africa. He noted that it would create job opportunities for the people on the continent. Mr. Fan thanked President Museveni for Uganda's open door policy of hosting refugees and changing their livelihoods. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Sam Kutesa, and the American Ambassador to Uganda, Deborah Malak, among others, attended the meeting. Now, Prime Minister Dr. Rugunda said that to modernize agriculture in Uganda from subsistence to commercial production requires a holistic approach in investments using multi-sectoral planning and implementation of programs and projects. The Premier was officiating at the Declaration of Partnership signing ceremony between the Government of Uganda and USAID, which took place at Kampala Serena Hotel.
USAID and the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries have signed the Declaration of Partnership, which is a collaboration that aims to reduce poverty and hunger in Uganda for the next 5 years. The partnership is implemented under the U.S. government initiative called Feed the Future that focuses on combating hunger and poverty. The Prime Minister, Dr. Rugunda, noted that the partnership is of great importance to the country since prioritization of agriculture is well articulated in Uganda under the Vision 2040, as well as in the National Development Plan 2, which is evidence that the sector is considered to be the main thrust of the country's economic growth. He added that agriculture provides great avenues for economic growth and inclusion, particularly from the women and the youth, and thus guided on the focus areas for interventions and what government is doing to enhance the sector.
The emphasis of the intervention, therefore, has to be focused on commodity value chains, research, provision of extension services, control of pests, vectors and diseases, provision of critical farm inputs, promoting sustainable land use and soil management are all key to achieving this agenda.
The Premier also appreciated the U.S. government for supporting Uganda to build trade and investments, among other projects, especially its mission's effort to market Uganda's specialty coffee through strategic business linkages. He affirmed government's commitment to working with the U.S. government. The Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Vincent Sempija, noted that agriculture is one of the key sectors driving transformation of Uganda's economy, with a contribution of 25% to national GDP and employing over 70% of the country's population. Sempija thanked U.S. aid for supporting the agriculture sector in a number of areas, including developing the African Agriculture Strategy, among other policies, and building the Agriculture Data Center for Agriculture Statistics. He highlighted that the Ministry of Agriculture will be working with Feed the Future in a number of areas.
The government of Uganda, with the United States government, through USAID, are committed to ending poverty and hunger in Uganda. The declaration of partnership we are signing today is based on a set of 6 shared principles, highlighting the joint interventions for the next 5 years.
The U.S. ambassador to Uganda, Deborah Malak, noted that the U.S. government is dedicated to improving agriculture and food security in Uganda, adding that 200 million farmers in Uganda have already benefited in terms of increased sales and productivity through working with the Feed the Future initiative, which has been operating in the country since 2011.
We are extremely proud that between 2011 and 2016, in those Feed the Future districts where we work, stunting among children under 5 decreased by 22% compared to a 13% decrease nationwide.
The Senior Deputy Assistant Administrator for Feed the Future, Maura Barry, said Feed the Future will help to address food security in the country and is committed to accelerating economic growth, increase food security, and enhancing resilience. The event was also attended by the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Eliodat Mwesije, the Minister of State for Animal Industry, Joy Kabatsi, and the Minister of State for Agriculture, Christopher Chabazanga, among others. Doreen Nasasura, reporting for UBC News.
Rwanda is less bothered by the Friday killing of 2 people at the now contentious border point of Haposavo village in Ruchiga district of Uganda. However, the country is channeling efforts into justifying and maintaining that the killing was done on Rwandan soil, regardless of the physical demarcation.
Deep here in the mountainous terrain is the porous border crossing between Uganda and Rwanda. In Haposavo village in Kamwezi sub-county, Ruchiga district, 2 people were admittedly shot dead by Rwandan soldiers. Vivid on the earth is the drying shedding of blood of the slain John Bosco Chenyenge, a Rwandan national, and Alex Nyesiga, a Ugandan, whose body the authorities have handed over. The border contention between the 2 East African countries, suffices to say, is far from over. There is an international border demarcation separating both countries at one point, but it doesn't stop the argument on exactly where the crossing line starts or ends.
Immediately when they reached in Uganda, one of them shot dead, and then the Ugandan tried to rescue the Rwandese. In the process there, they shot the Ugandan. Then on the way reaching the hospital, he also died.
Rwanda claims even deeper into what physically appear Ugandan soils.
To know the coordinates from the poles up to another. But really the action here, we know, as the population indicated, but could you guess where the pole is?
Ugandan authorities have bitterly condemned the killings, but the Rwandan interest appears a struggle of justifying no provocation for the neighboring country with which relations have deteriorated in the past few months.
The issue of crossing is better, in short, it's better not to dwell on the hearsays. Let's just come on the ground, witness the issue jointly, so that we can even make some more analysis of how the issue happened.
Cabinet recently approved the decision to have proper demarcation of Uganda's borders. Despite of the good intent, this could instead end into an ending long squabbles with some of the neighboring countries with whom there is already discontent about the border demarcations. Onyango Jackson and Benadiga, UBC TV.
Meanwhile, NRM Electoral Commission Chairperson Dr. Tanga Odoi has downplayed comments made by the party's Secretary General Justin Kasile Lumumba over cadre recruitment. Dr. Tanga claims that the Secretary General distancing herself from the recruitment contradicts Chobe resolutions.
A statement released by the NRM Party Secretary General Justin Kasule Lumumba on 24th May distancing herself from cadre recruitment at village level has earned her criticism by her Electoral Commission Chairperson Dr. Tanga Odoi. In the letter, Lumumba states that the recruitment of over 200,000 cadres at parish level was not a decision of any party organ or Chobe decision, which Tanga Odoi rubbishes.
As a result of Chobe, one of the resolutions was to take on the parish model. The parish model means the center of all government activities will leave the sub-county is now supposed to be at the parish, nearer to the people. It was resolved in Chobe, and I'm a member of SEC, that we should recruit agents, call them cadres, to help strengthen all the government activities at the parish level.
Dr. Tanga Odoi claims statements by the Secretary General distancing herself on media is an attack on the party's national chairperson.
To the best of my recollection, the National Chairman's office wrote to her a letter on 15th May indicating that this is what we are going to do. But she has written a letter on 24th May saying she does not know anything. Who is saying a lie? And lastly, who is the Secretary General to contradict the chairman of a party? Who is the Secretary General to go against SEC?
Efforts to get comments from the NRM Secretary General were futile, as she was in a meeting and her phones were received by another person.
All of us in the party are doing work on behalf of the president. The chairman of the party is the chief spokesperson, is the chief mobilizer of the party. I don't know whether they know politics of parties. If you are given a small coat, don't make it bigger. This is a nonsense. The Secretary General has failed to pay staff 5 months' salary, just staff, 20 people, 30 people. Now she's going on to criticizing the head of state. And you want Tanga Odoi to keep quiet? Am I paid by her?
Philip Aguta reporting.
Well, Ministry of Health has finalized plans to change the treatment for multi-drug resistant tuberculosis from injection to only oral administration beginning July 2019. Currently, patients with multi-drug resistant TB are given injections for 6 months and tablets for 14 months. The change in treatment will now see such patients take oral treatment 9 to 11 months.
Tuberculosis is an infectious bacterial disease that affects the lungs and is spread when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Signs of TB include fever, coughing for more than 2 weeks, loss of appetite, and excessive sweating, especially at night. But it can only be confirmed by a diagnostic test with gene expert machines.
That is the CPU plus the monitor and then the printer. That's how it works. Because after exploding the samples, you need to, when loading the samples, you need to enter the details of the patient in the computer before you run the sample, then you start the test. And after running the test, the printout comes out from the printer. So when our samples get in here, they're already in a cartridge. after mucoralizing it. So after I mucoralize it, I come, I scan, I create the test. Suppose this. I create the test, I scan the sample. After I scan the sample, I load the sample, I enter the information of the patient, and I start the test. And after maximum of 2 hours, depending on the expert test I'm running, if it's a normal cartridge, it runs for 2 hours. Then the latest cartridges, the ultra cartridges, around 1 hour, 30 minutes, I'll have the results.
What we do is we identify if the patient is very ill, we admit the patient on the ward, start them on, do investigations, start them on therapy, of course after counseling them, because if you need to counsel a patient to make them understand that they have TB, so that they can follow with you the process and take their medications as prescribed and complete therapy. So such patients, we ask them to identify a facility near their home, so that they can go to their home, to that facility near their home, to have the monthly refill of their drugs.
Confirmed cases of TB are enrolled on treatment immediately. People need to take precaution while in public places to avoid spreading TB.
We should always open our windows in a taxi. If you are seated in a taxi next to a window, please open the window so that we have fresh air from out. Always morning taxis bringing people to the hospitals, so open windows in the morning. But you always, like when you stand on Ginger Road, you see all windows closed from all angles, so we should always open windows.
One, I think, should have a handkerchief and you cough, but if you don't have one, you can cover your nose while coughing to avoid spreading of this.
The problem of tuberculosis is growing, and this can be confirmed with the high number of patients received at the TB ward at Mulago National Referral Hospital.
So we see about 300 patients every quarter. That's about 25 patients every week, new patients, and 1,200 patients every year newly diagnosed with TB. So TB is a real problem.
One of the challenges faced in the treatment of tuberculosis is the long period of treatment. The usual TB treatment takes 6 months, while for multi-drug-resistant TB, the period of treatment is 1 year and 8 months. Multi-drug-resistant TB does not respond quickly to treatment, and patients are first put on injection for 6 months and then tablets for 14 months. Ministry of Health now wants to change the treatment criteria and shorten the period of treatment.
National TB and Leprosy Program is transiting from the treatment of MDR TB, that was including injections for 6 months, to an only oral regimen, meaning only tablets being taken by a patient with MDR TB from 9 months, for 9 or to 11 months, without injections being included in the treatment. So they will take only tablets.
The Ministry of Health is working towards achieving the 90-90-90 targets for ending tuberculosis by 2030. This means reaching at least 90% of TB patients, 90% of vulnerable populations, and 90% success in TB treatment. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
Break. When we return, Patricia Lukoma will take over with business news.
Every dream has a challenging journey. Ours began in 1998 with a mission to drive the development of a robust communications sector in Uganda. We created structures to champion the dream. We've evolved, made discoveries, supported great minds, empowered Ugandans, and fostered a vibrant culture, enabling communication for all. Down the years, we've created memories and networks, uniting generations and building great partnerships. Together, we can go even further. UCC, celebrating 20 years of achievements.
Hello, my name is, as usual, Mr. Budget.
Now, the major aim of decentralization is to bring services closer to the people. You see, majority of Ugandans are actually served by their local governments. The overall local government allocation for the next financial year is 3.8 trillion shillings. Good money, right? And 2.8 trillion shillings of this is recurrent expenditure, while 948 billion shillings is development expenditure. The big question though is this enough for local governments to bring services closer to their people? Let's find out together at the budget reading on the 13th of June 2019. Our budget, our responsibility. This message is brought to you by CS Bag, Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and URA.
Displays that will leave you enthralled. Make a date with us during the first Sunday of every month. With over 2,000 participants at one venue, we aim to keep healthy, network, ensure viable brand positioning, and make friends while having fun during our monthly sports festival.
Welcome to the Business Desk. Once again, I'm Patricia Lokoma to bring you what's making headlines in a business world. Now we start off with the budget month, where after being ranked second next to South Africa in budget transparency, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has inclusive activities prior to the budget reading of 2019, which is due June 13th this very year. The ministry crafted a national budget month, which comprises of a series of events for the public on deliberations prior to the budget reading. A major upcoming event, which is prior to the budget reading, is Service Excellence Exhibition, which will be running from the 4th to the 6th of June at Kololo grounds. Now, all government ministries and their respective agencies are expected to showcase their services. Let's have the details.
We expect is the energy sector to tell us, yes, we have this number of agencies, so we shall need 5 tables.
We convened today in the conference center to have the ministries, departments and agencies and all the institutions of government to take them through the program of National Budget Month. We had to sit and come up with a project or an activity that can take us closer to those questions so that we can answer them. And that's why we have come up with this event of National Budget Month. It is for the whole country. It is for entire government. We are looking forward to see that people come and participate. People come and air out their views. People come and see what the government is doing in form of accountability, in trying to understand exactly what the tax is doing and what their money is doing through institutions, agencies, ministries, and other parties that get money directly from the government. We shall begin with a march from Constitutional Square in the heart of Kampala, and then towards Kololo, where we have set up an exhibition, and we've called it a Service Excellence Exhibition. It will run for 3 days, from 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Now, in the oil sector, Oranto Petroleum Limited has completed a 2-dimensional seismic data acquisition survey over the Ngasa block in the Albertine Graben. OPL contracted IMC Geophysical Services Limited from the United Kingdom to undertake the survey, which commenced on the 15th of April 2019 and was completed on the 18th of May 2019.
Oranto Petroleum Limited survey involved the acquisition of 326 line kilometers of offshore on Lake Albert 2D seismic data over the Ngasa contract areas. The conclusion of the exercise represents an important step by the licensee in fulfilling its obligations for the first two-year exploration phase that runs from October 2017 to October this year.
You know, before we started this survey, and it being on Lake Albert, where we have had issues with the Congolese militia, sometimes attacking fishermen. We engaged with the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, who also engaged the Uganda People's Defense Forces, the Uganda Police, Ministry of Energy, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which liaised with the Congolese government to make sure that security during our survey is handled well.
Ngasa block lies on the eastern banks of Lake Albert within the villages of Tonya A, Tonya B, Kijangi, Mbegu, Kaiso and Chehoro in Hoima and Chikube districts.
And it's located at the basement of the escarpment on the eastern side of the Albertine Graben. The Ngasa block covers an area of 410 square kilometers. Government does not incur any costs when it comes to when the company fails to find. As I say, this is an investment by the company. This is their business. So if they find the oil, then they have the reason to keep the block and develop it. But if they do not find the oil, then most times you find it's a business decision on letting the block go and then go back and look for oil elsewhere.
The block was initially part of the Exploration Area 2, licensed to Talo Uganda Operations Pty Limited, reverted to government after the expiry of Talo's appraisal period.
So at the moment we are doing 2D acquisition with our contractor IMC, who jointly partnered with MSL as our national content policy promote joint ventureship. So MSL is a Ugandan-based company and IMC is an international-based company, and we are doing offshore 2D acquisition.
Oranto Petroleum Limited will now process and interpret the acquired data. The results will inform the subsequent activities during the next two-year phase of the exploration period. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Now, thank you very much there, Dennis Sigoa. Straight away into the agricultural sector, where Bunyoro farmers under their umbrella body, Bunyoro Tobacco Growers, have appealed to government to help recover 12 billion Ugandan shillings from Continental Tobacco Uganda Limited. Continental Tobacco Uganda Limited signed an agreement with farmers to supply tobacco in 2017, but the company closed business in Uganda after its license was revoked. As Ivan Kahwa reports, Continental Tobacco Uganda Limited did not clear their debt.
Tobacco has become a burden to Bunyoro farmers after accumulating debtors worth 12 billion shillings. In December 2017, tobacco farmers in Bunyoro region signed an agreement with Continental Tobacco Uganda Limited. Under the agreement, farmers supplied tobacco solely to Continental Tobacco Limited as registered farmers. Today, Continental Tobacco Uganda Limited owes farmers close to 12 billion Uganda shillings.
We supplied dry leaves to the company in August, September and October. But from that time, we haven't been paid. We have faced a lot of challenges. Banks have taken our properties. Our children are at home. Poverty at home.
A letter dated 10th May 2019, written by Werihe Michael, the State Minister for Trade, comforts farmers with commitment to resolve the matter, although it has taken longer.
akakulira ihanga lino ka parliamenti karole mu nsonge nukurora nti abalimi abatunzire tabana Continental tufunire sente zaitu.
Over 1,000 farmers from the districts of Hoima, Masindi, Kikuwe, Kiriandongo and Bulisa are affected with this single action. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Well, as we wind up the business segment, it's time for us to look at what's happening on the Forex market. And of course, just looking a little bit at yesterday's performance compared to today's performance. Today, the shilling is trading at 3,755.33, 3,765.33. That is buying and selling on the greenback, the dollar. Other currencies are faring as well. We are seeing a little bit of a surge on the Tanzanian shilling by 1 cent. Well, let's have the detail in this preview. We had time for on the business desk. My name once again is Patricia Elkoma. Back to you, Rhoda.
Thank you. And now in sports news, as days are getting closer to the kickoff of the Total AFCON finals in Egypt, Uganda Cranes are not taking things for granted. The team has pitched camp in Abu Dhabi, where they will train for 3 weeks. Upon arrival in the Arab world on Monday afternoon, the head coach, Sebastian De Serbe, shared his training schedule with the players, which rolled off this morning at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium, Abu Dhabi. That's the cricket sports complex. The 1-hour session saw the players undergo drills that involved warm-up sessions of running and stretching, but with less time on the ball. Uganda Cranes captain Dennis Onyango trained alone under the guidance of experienced goalkeeping coach Fred Kajoba. Onyango's other colleagues in the goalkeeping area, Robert Odonka Kara, Salim Jamal and Charles Lukwago, will join camp later. Moses Kolola has another chance to redeem his kickboxing career when he takes on Umar Semata in a nationwide middleweight title on 3rd August. This fight has been launched, and going by day one may turn out to be more than just a fight. Here are the details.
Last time you saw what they did to Angola, Moses of Uganda. This time, the promoter here, Barak, he said that he's going to win A+. That means he has already agreed that even if I don't give to Coma, they will be no complaint.
Moses Gola and Umar Semata have had a verbal exchange ahead of their national super middleweight title fight. The fight, scheduled for August 3rd, 2019, is a rematch following last year's meetup between the two that Umar Semata won convincingly. Even during the launch of this highly anticipated title fight, the temperatures are nearing boiling point, with political intonations attached. Umar Semata is in the Balam Barugahare camp, which in mainstream politics identifies with NRM, while Moses Gola is attached to Abitex Promotions, a renowned people power sympathizer. The organizers clarify that a standoff with the local kickboxing federation will not affect the fight.
WFM took up the initiative of bringing the belt for this fight, and the bout they are going to fight will be a super middleweight, and they have agreed to fight at 75 kgs and above.
The two fighters will contest the K1 style, with the fight expected to last 5 rounds at a Freedom City. John Burns, Centum, reporting.
Meanwhile, the second Beach Woodball World Cup has witnessed day one action at Spena Beach in Entebbe. Our reporter John Burns, Centum, was there.
There has been no room for error, and whoever did so was punished on day one of the second Beach Woodball World Cup that has started with both the fairway and stroke competition. By end of business, Uganda seemed to be in the ascendance, with the players such as Joan Mukova playing a big part.
The performance is good. The players have put up a really very great fight. We are still among the top teams, and we do believe by tomorrow when we go for the second round, we would have confirmed that we are on top of that table.
We still do hold the team event in the first position, and we have understood as players ourselves. We are coming together to consolidate on our mistakes and understand that it happens and forget about the past and focus on the new game and the new tasks we are supposed to face.
The team's head coach, Onesma Satamba, summarizes day one and reveals what tactics the team is to employ to secure the crown.
Day one has been so successful. For men, we have beaten them with a range of 8. For women, we are still tying with the points of 99. But tomorrow, we shall have to make our corrections, the mistakes we have made today, and we shall win.
This Beach Woodball World Cup has attracted 16 nations, and many of which are still hopeful of causing an upset against the fancied hosts.
Maybe yesterday we had not enough time to practice, so today cannot perform well. But I think after this day and for tomorrow, we will have a better result.
Yeah, actually, the ground was good and we are playing well. And we have lots of experience of the game in our team. We have lots of experienced players and some of our new players. So we can a good game and maybe best team win.
The opening day action was run alongside the Africa Woodball Workshop, whose main aim is to instill further skills to other nations as per Uganda's mandate. John Bang, Centum, reporting.
And with that, let's quickly take a look at our top stories for the night. Former Prime Minister of Uganda, Professor Apollo Nsibambi, is dead. Prime Minister Ruhakana Rugunda says modernizing agriculture requires a holistic approach in investment. On the international scene, French IS men sentenced to death in Iraq. And in sports, Beach Woodball World Cup starts. And that does sum it up. Thank you for watching News Tonight. On Sign Language, Mugalu Mohammed. I am Rhoda Ngonzi.
And I'm Patricia Lokoma Oris. A pleasure.
Have a good night.
Good night.